Hey, Grade 10s. This should look familiar. This is time cards. We are doing net pay with time cards. So we're doing everything we did with time cards in our wages unit. And we're adding the splash of the good old deduction booklet to add a little bit of panache at the end of the question. But everything else is identical to what we've already done. So really, we're just smashing time cards together with the deduction tables. And that's what this lesson's all about. Let's do a couple examples just to refresh your memories. So let's look at this first one. Rhonda works as a worker with the developmentally disabled. All of her times are rounded to the nearest quarter hour. There are no penalties for being late. If she works more than 8 hours a day, she earns time and a half for those extra hours. Find her gross pay, deductions, and net pay using claim code 1. So, everything's rounded to the nearest 15 minutes, but there's no penalties for being late or leaving early. Okay. So, we don't have to worry about that business. So, we're just rounding these times to the nearest 15 minutes. Okay? Fair enough. That seems fairly straightforward. Okay, so we don't have the space for the putting the rounded times, but that's okay. We'll try and do this as eloquently as we can. 7:58, that's just going to be 8. That'll be 8. That'll be 8. This is 7:30. It stays at 7:30, so I'm not going to touch it. Maybe I'll circle it just to say that I looked at it, and same with 8. This will be 12 o'clock. This is 12 o'clock. That's 12 o'clock. That's 12 o'clock. And that's 11:45. So I'm not going to touch it. If we go and round the afternoon times, this will be 1300, 1300, 1300, 1300, 12:30. This is 19:30. 16:30, 17:30, 17:15, and 1900. Now let's go ahead and calculate these times. So for the times, it's 8 to 12 o'clock Monday morning, 4 hours. That's also 4 hours. Also 4 hours. 7:30 to 12 would be 4.5 hours. 8 to 11:45 is the first quarter hour we've had to deal with. That's 3.75 hours. When we go to the afternoon, we're going from 13 to 19:30. That is 6.5 hours. This is going to be 3.5 hours Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday afternoon is 4.5 hours. Thursday afternoon would be 2. Nope, it's not. It's 4.25. And 12:30 to 1900 is 6.5 hours. Now that we have that, we can calculate our daily totals. So we have a total of 10.5 hours on Monday. Tuesday is 7.5. Wednesday is 8.5. Thursday is 8.75. Friday is 10.25. Now, anything over 8 is overtime. So where do we have overtime? We have overtime every day except for Tuesday. So it's going to be 2.5 hours here, 0.5 here, 0.75 here, and 2.25 there. It's whatever is over 8. And if you're not sure, you can just take the time here, like 10.5, and subtract 8. 10.5 minus 8, 2.5. For the hours, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll add them up together. So 2.5, 3, This is also 3. So that makes 6 overtime hours. And this is time and a half. Regular hours, well, 8, 8, 8, 8, and 7.5. So 4 eighths is 32, plus 7.5 is 39.5. Combine that with the 6 and you get 45.5 regular hours. The regular rate is $23.30. Now we're going to go ahead and figure out the time and a half rate. That's $34.95. If we multiply that by 6, we get $209.70. And if we multiply the 39.5 times 23.30, we're going to get $920.35. Adding those together, we get $1130.05. That is Rhonda's gross pay for the week. Now that's just gross pay. We're going to go ahead and figure out the deductions and the net pay in just a second. All right, time to use that deductions booklet we have. So we're looking for $1130.05. So let's look up the CPP first, Canadian Pension Plan. $1130.05. $57.92. CPP is $57.92. The EI is $17.85. Using claim code 1, the federal taxes are $125.10, and the provincial taxes are $103.05. So now we are going to go ahead and add up the deductions, and the sum is $303.92. So to figure out Rhonda's net pay, we would take $1130.05, subtract $303.92, and we get a net pay of $826.13. That is Rhonda's net pay. Okay, next example. So I just want to go ahead and add something to this next example, and that is just an optional deduction. So the optional deduction that we're going to add to this question is that he pays, let's say, union dues are $25 and a health plan costs $30. So we're going to incorporate those optional deductions into our calculations. Now, all they really change, as we know, is they change what values we'll figure out for the provincial and federal taxes. So we don't even have to worry about them as we fill in this time chart. So let's go ahead and do the time card. Vincent Kurtz works as a maintenance man. His day goes from 900 hours to 1,300 hours and 1,400 hours to 1,800 hours. He is penalized if he arrives late or leaves early. Extra time is paid. All times are rounded to the nearest 15 minutes. Overtime over 40 hours per week is paid out as double time. Find the gross pay, deductions, and net pay using claim code 2. All right, so we got to round these times. He's 9 to 1300, and extra time is paid. Okay, so that's going to be 9, 9, 9:30, 9, 9, 9. He left 5 minutes early, so that's going to knock him down to 12:45. That stays at 12:30. That stays at 1300. He leaves late. That's fine. It drops down to 13. That's 13. And that's going to be 12:30. So then he goes from 14 to 18. Okay. So that's going to be 14. That stays 14. That stays 14. He gets there early. Now, getting there early is okay, right? Getting there early is okay. So that's going to drop or go up to 1400 hours. That stays at 1430, and it stays at 1400. For the leaving times, well, it's going to stay at 1800. It's going to go to 1800, to 1800, to 1800. This one actually goes up to 1815 because he does get paid for extra time. And this one goes up to 1845. Okay. Now we'll deal with the evening times. Now, this isn't part of his normal workday, so these are just nice round times. So we just take them at face value. We don't even have to round them to the nearest 15 minutes because they are already rounded. Now we'll calculate these times. So if works from 9 to 12:45, that's 3.75 hours. 9 to 12:30 is 3.5 hours. 9:30 to 1300 is 3.5 hours. 9 to 1300 is 4. 9 to 1300 is 4. 9 to 12:30 is 3.5. In the afternoon side, we have 4 hours here, 4 hours here, 4 hours here, 4 hours here, 3.75 hours here, and 4.75 hours there. In the evenings, he gets 2.5 hours in the first evening and 3.5 hours on the second evening. Now we'll figure out our daily totals. Our daily totals are going to be 7.75, 7.5, 7.5, 10.5, 7.75, 8.25, and 3.5. And then we have to figure out what the sum of those numbers is. 15.25, 22.75, 33.25, 41, 49.25, 52.75. So we end up at 52.75 hours. First 40 are regular. Last 12.75 are at double time. His regular wage is $19.88. His double time rate would be at $39.76. And now we'll figure out both of those pays. 40 times $19.88 is $795.20. 12.75 hours times 39.76 is $506.94. Total together, we get $1,302.14. That's Vincent's gross pay. We'll use that gross pay to help us figure out the CPP and EI. So, what do we know? We know that we're going to figure out what the CPP is. We want to figure out what the EI is. The taxable income, we can deal with that right now because it's his gross pay, which is $1,302.14 minus his deductions. Now, if his union dues are this, and his health plan is this, well, then we can add them together and get $55. So, what we're going to do here then is we're going to subtract $55 from his taxable income. And that's going to give us $1,247.14 for his taxable income. And that taxable income now will help us figure out what the federal and the provincial taxes are. So now we can go ahead and use the deduction booklet. CPP is $67.30. EI is $20.57. Federal taxes are $145.80. And the provincial taxes are $116.30. Now what we'll do is we will add all the deductions together. So when we add all the deductions together, we'll do CPP, EI, optional, federal, and provincial taxes. The deduction total is going to be, the total is $404.97. So then the net pay is going to be $1,302.14 less $404.97. We get a net pay of $897.17. And there we go. So just to summarize what we've looked at here today, we've taken what we've done before with time cards, and we've taken our new discovery on the deduction booklets, and we've kind of just remashed them together into one big question. That's all we're doing here. There's nothing really new here today. We're just putting two ideas we've learned previously and mashing them together into one.